All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, January 31st edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and today I'm going solo. As you can see in the messages here, Big Marcel 24. Hey, guys, sorry I can't make it. It's on my way home. See you all tomorrow. Marcel had some previous engagement that he had to do tonight, so won't be on the podcast today, but it's just a recap show anyway. It's not like we're going to break down UFC Vegas 47. That's tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing that. Today will just be a recap of this week. We'll talk about fights. I'll take any questions you guys have too. I'm here for an hour with you guys, so talk about anything. We got Hype MMA here. What's going on, man? Glad to have you here, dude. Yeah, and Marcel, he just left his job as a mailman, I want to say 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So I'm really happy for the guy, and going forward, he'll just be working in MMA. So it's gonna be great. I'm happy for the dude, but he's not here today, so it is what it is. We'll talk about Bellator 273. We'll talk about Eagle FC a little bit, a couple upsets there, obviously. I know there's some fight announcements this week as well that we could talk about, but I do think good place to start is Bellator, and then we'll do Eagle FC. I'll do Bellator first. So let's start with Bellator 273. I got to give myself and Marcel some credit here. We both called Ryan Bader as the upset. And last week when we talked about it, guys, he was plus 260 underdog. At the end of it, I think he closed at like plus 180 yesterday or something like that, but still really good odds. Like you're getting 2-1 odds still. Let me check what the closing number was. Yeah, 180. When we talked about the fight, it was at plus 260. The guy looked good. I mean, it was a close fight, but I felt like he deserved to win the fight. It was close. Don't get me wrong, but I think the judges, I want to give them credit for this fight, and also the Benson Henderson fight I'll talk about in a second here, they were rewarding guys that were doing more work in the fight, and I like to see that. Bader was doing more damage against the fence. The other dude was just holding him there. Bader was the one elbowing the guy in the head, scoring points that way. You're not scoring points necessarily if someone's holding against the fence. Now, granted, if neither guy's doing something, the guy doing the fence pushing, yeah, I would say if neither guy is doing anything, then that would be the guy, because you go down to the criteria. At that point, there's nothing effective with the striking and grappling. You'd go to the octagon control and the aggression. But in this one, I think Ryan Bader was pretty effective with the striking along the fence. So I think it was a good call by the judges. Close fight, don't get me wrong. It's not like I wouldn't have been upset had they gone the other way, but it was definitely the right side. And again, Ryan Bader at heavyweight's a good fighter. Light heavyweight, I talked about last week, was the number one thing I said. This is a different weight class. I just think it's really easy to look at, the guy's last 3 fights and be like, I got knocked out 2 times. Yeah, he did. But again, he lost to Corey Anderson, Vadim Melkov, 2 great fighters, and at a lower weight class where we know, guys, that your chin is affected by cutting all additional weight. So, I think at heavyweight, it's a good move for him. He's going to fight Checko next in a rematch. Not really a rematch I wanted to see. I don't think anyone did. But, to be fair to Checko, that fight was almost 3 years ago, whereas the accidental eye poke. So, to be fair to him, he's had to wait a while for the rematch too. I was hoping kind of that they would just do Fedor, but, they're going to go with Checko instead. I don't know who Fedor's going to fight for his last fight. No idea. I think this would have made more sense personally, but, because he just beat Fedor's guy, right, Moldavsky. I think it would have made sense, so I'm a little curious, I guess, what they're going to do with him. But anyways, I thought Bader looked good. I just wanted to give him props, guys. And, for a plus 260 dog, when we talked about it Tuesday, he did really well. Let me get the comments here. Joe, hey, Joe, what's up, man? Glad to have you here. 8 Loco. We'll talk about that in a sec. Dana White diss track. Hey, Tristan. Like how Bellator announced the next fight in Stare-Downs. I like it, too. It's not an octagon, though. It's not 8 sides. I think, is it? I don't know. They used to do a circle. Now, I don't even know if it's just a regular cage now. I don't think it's 8 sides, though, isn't it? How many sides is the Bellator cage? 6? Let me check. I want to know, because I don't think it's an octagon. Yeah, it's a little different. It's more of like a circle. So, can't call it an octagon, Tristan. But it's, it's the ring, the cage. Khabib's had to go. We're going to talk about that in a sec, Glenn. Happy to have you here, buddy. Yeah, Glenn, that's the one thing. I still don't understand why the UFC's never been to France. When Bellator's gone multiple times during COVID, it's kind of weird. Like UFC's always like, oh, we can't go to these countries, but like Bellator does, and Bellator is second-rate MMA compared to UFC. Let's be honest. So it's kind of weird. I'll get this comment really fast before I forget about it. The Dana White diss track, I thought it was funny, man. Honestly, like Jake Paul, you guys, I don't know if you saw it, but I thought it was pretty funny. Some of the stuff in it, some of the stuff he's saying is stupid because. For instance, he keeps saying this, even said it in the description on the YouTube video, it's like 12K minimum. Jake, we just found out it's 10K. So why are you saying 12, dude? It's 10. Not only that, but, he obviously doesn't like Dana White. I mean, it's pretty clear. I think it's funny, but is it an effective way of going about this? I'm not sure, but at the end of the day, guys, for me, the sport's nothing without the fighters. So if the fighters can get more money, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I'm just not sure if Jake Paul being really aggressive towards Dana White in media is that really changing anything for the good? I'm not sure. I don't think so, but not sure if it's hurting too much either. It does seem like there's more awareness towards fighter pay and low fighter pay in the sport. The biggest thing is, guys, here's the number one problem with the UFC. Not that it's a problem. For Dana White and the owners, it's great, but the American government's never cracked down on the UFC as a monopoly. That's the biggest problem here. It clearly is. It clearly is. And Dana's going to say, "Oh no, there's all these other promotions," but it clearly is. They bought out Pride, that was their number one competitor. They bought out Strikeforce, which was the number one competitor. Yeah, there's Bellator, but really, if there's no Bellator, is there in PFL? I guess there's nothing else. So for me, it's UFC. It's still the number one organization, but I'm just saying, like, this can only go on for so much longer, guys. Like, eventually, the government's going to crack down. They're going to be like, "Hey, these guys are being paid 18% or whatever it is of the pie. It should be 50." So we've got Drake and hey, Drake, and I want to give this guy a shout out. Drake's a guy I worked with for like 3 years at BJ Penn, Jake, and my MMA News as well. We both worked. I don't know if I guess Drake just left there, but he just got a job at MMA Mania. So congrats, man, because that's a really big website, and I'm happy for you, dude. He's asking about Jeremy Stevens at PFL. I think it's a bad move for him, guys. I don't know if I talked about it with you guys. I know I talked about it on Twitter. I just think it's a bad move. I don't like the move for him. Like, I think PFL I think there's really good fighters in PFL that are better than Jeremy Stevens at this point in his career. To me, Jeremy Stevens, he's a guy that he can still have the occasional knockout. I think Bellator would have been a good place for Jeremy Stevens. I think that BKFC would be a good spot for him. I'm not sure about PFL, guys. I really don't know about it. I don't think it's a good move for Jeremy. I think he could lose in the first round if he even makes it that far. Like, is he even one of the top 8 guys? I don't think so. Honestly, like, Roush Manfield beats him pretty easily. Loic Radzhabov, who just picked up a win in Eagle, probably beats Jeremy Stevens too. So, like, those are the top 2 guys. I mean, there's obviously guys he can beat. I'm not saying he won't win a fight. He'll probably win one of the qualifying matches. They'll probably give him someone easy. But I just think it's not a great move for his career, personally. Him being out of the UFC it kind of came out of nowhere because he lost to Gamrot like a couple months ago. Or last summer, I want to say even. Like, it's been a while, right? So it's kind of weird, but I don't know, man. I mean, the guy, he owns some of the greatest knockouts of all time. The one on RDA, the one on even the one on Josh Emmett was nasty. Dennis Bernier. I mean, I made some good money on this guy too during his career because he's been an underdog a lot too, right? But at this point in his career, he's lost 3 straight. He hasn't won a fight in his last 6. He hasn't been fighting elite guys. It's just his last win was 4 years ago. So I'm not really convinced he's going to do well in this tournament. I'm with you guys. I think BKFC would have been perfect. Like, I was expecting that, to be honest with you. I heard he got released, but he chose to go a different route. All right, let's go back to Bellator. So, yeah, I talked about the main event. I think it was a good call by the judges, and me and Marcel made a good call on the dog. Now, the co-main event, I got to be honest, like, I thought this fight was going to be Mamedov for sure. But Benson Henderson sneaks it off, guys. Plus 425 underdog. Wow. I mean, big upset here, according to the odds. Definitely the odds a little bit heavy. They were a little bit high. I mean, Benson's on a scrub. It's like people thought this guy was completely garbage at this point. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a very close fight. I really think it could have gone either way, and I don't think it would have been a bad decision either way. But I kind of like the judges giving it to Benson. I kind of feel like he did more in the fight. Like, he was working for those submissions. He had a guillotine. Like, every time I looked up, he was in the guy's guard and a guillotine choke. The other guy was just holding him down. That's not really effective. Again, if Benson was just lying there on the back, not doing anything, yes, then your guy's winning. But he was going for subs. He was landing elbows from the bottom. I think this was a good call by the judges. Some people have said, again, with both these guys, they are Arizona guys. So they're like, hey, these guys are, being the beneficiary of hometown cooking. Generally, there's always something to that. I'm not saying it didn't help them. Obviously, it did. I'm sure it did. But I genuinely think these were good decisions by the judges, guys. I really do, I didn't call this upset. I called one of them. I didn't call this one. I'm pretty surprised that Benson won, but I think the judges did a good job. I think we got to give them some credit. We always shit on them. We're like, oh, these judges are garbage. Like, they scored this fight 30-27. It was clear 29-28 for the other guy. Like, we always say that, right? These judges stink. They're not getting 10-8, so they give out too leniently. Let's give them some credit when they do a good job. They did a good job on this card, including these 2 fights. I just wanted to say that. Dude, it broke everyone's parlay. I mean, I didn't expect them to win. Let's say that. Format's hard to adjust to. Yeah, it's definitely different, for sure. I think 155 won't be cutting weight, so I think it's going to be good for him. But does UFC have 6 months to match any other promotions offer, hence the 6-month delay? I guess it's possible. Yeah. I mean, but usually they won't, Glenn, they won't take the 6 months, especially with a guy like Jeremy, who's been a pretty good soldier for the UFC, let's be honest, over the years. I don't think it was like they intentionally tried to like keep him on the shelf, if that makes sense. But it's possible that was part of it. It is possible, Glenn. So good point. That would make sense. But again, I'm not sure if the UFC was rushing to sign him back. And if he said, hey, I have a better offer from PFL, I'm inclined to believe that Dana White would just probably say, okay, that's fine, you can go, So that's my guess. But I think it's definitely a good point, Glenn. And I didn't think about that. It's a good point. Does it? Yeah, I mean, we just said that, with the judging. I think it, it didn't help. It didn't hurt them. I'll say that. It didn't hurt them. But I just think they were good calls by the judges because, again, the guys were doing more work. Just because the guy's on the wrong end of a grappling position doesn't mean he's not winning the fight. Remember that. Remember that, guys, Thought the judges would go, yeah, I think it was a good call. People call it robbery. I mean, let's be honest, they were sad that their parlay lost, probably, And again, it was a close fight. I think that fight could win either way. I would say Brian Bader would probably more clear win, than Benson, but I think it was a pretty good call, like I said, by the judges. Let's go to some of the other fights at Bellator 273. I only got the chance to watch the main card, but we also had Henry Corrales defeats Aiden Lee, so that's a solid win for him. And the line flipped. The line flipped on that, guys. Aiden Lee, yeah, I think he was a favorite. Yeah, no, he was the dog, and he closes the favorite. So for me, that's surprising. The line flip because I think Corrales is a pretty decent fighter. I'm not saying he's great because he's not, but he's decent. And I thought clearly he would have been the favorite in that fight. So I'm a little surprised the line flipped. But anyways, Corrales wins the technical decision. And then the last maker fight. This one surprised me too. Another upset. We had all four. That's the thing. Everyone's like Bellator's Chalk City. Like all the favorites win. Not on this card. All the underdogs won. I saw a lot of people lost money in this card, which sucks, But I didn't think Jalil Willis would lose to Sabal Masi. Especially by a arm triangle choke. I mean, Sabal Masi is, to me, he's like a grinder, right? Like he only has 3 submission wins in his career. The last submission came in 8 years ago. That is really surprising. Let's be honest here. Let me get this comment. 3 times it's what's up. This is a good comment. Actually, I agree with this guy. I understand you judge a sub at 10. Judges don't know how deep things are. I don't see how you give the round to the guy on bottom. Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's a fair comment. I really do. You're right. I mean, it's hard to say like how deep those were. I mean, but we do know from we don't know jiu-jitsu. The judges should know it. If a guy's got a guy in a pretty tight guillotine, he's got his legs wrapped around him in full guard, it's pretty tight. But in general, man, you're right. It's hard to know exactly how tight it is. And Joe Rogan's the guy who's always like, oh, it's over, the fight's over, and it's not. I just think in this case, the guy was on top but not doing anything, and the guy on bottom was actually doing something. So that's why I think it's okay. I'm not going to argue this decision either way because for me, it's like, at the end of the day, I didn't have any skin in this game. Personally, I think if I bet on this fight, I'd be a lot more upset. But for me, it's a close fight that I think it was fine. That's my opinion. I wouldn't argue it either way. If you said Mamedov deserved to win, that's fine. That's totally fine. I would understand that. I'm just saying like, it's like a 51-49 lean to me for Benson winning that fight. It was that close, in my opinion, anyways. Benson's 2-0 against a Blumnap Nurmagomedov's fighters. That's interesting. It's interesting. Willis has been subbed the first round twice. Why do you think that is? Does his wrestling style have him too comfortable? I mean, that's a good question. I mean, Jalil Willis is a guy that, for me is a good prospect. And I got to be honest, like when he became a free agent a few years ago, I thought UFC would sign him, after he won, I think he was the LFA champ. Yeah, he was the welterweight champion. I thought he'd get signed, but they passed. And, he's lost 2 straight fights by submission. So, clearly not as good as we thought he was. And overall just 2-2 in Bellator. So a little disappointing. But yeah, I mean, he's just lost 2 straight fights by choke. He's just, he's making the mistake that a lot of guys do. Justin Scoggins was a guy in the UFC years ago. He used to get his neck stuck in like all these chokes. Matt Brown's a guy with, well, now it's good, but historically with some of the worst submission defense, so very similar. Just got to work on that. I mean, it's a part of his game that's a huge hole. He's never going to become anything if he can't stop a guillotine or an arm triangle. Strange reaction Lee seemed to not let the doc see his eye, didn't like it. Yeah, bizarre. And I'm pretty sure, Glenn, like he's one of your guys, right? He's a Brit, right? So Caldwell's getting cut. Yeah, we'll talk about the prelims in a sec. When I saw my parlay had cash, I know, right? Daniel, honestly, I'm surprised too. I really am. He did. So we'll get to the prelims quickly. Yeah, Enrique Barzola, man, 3rd round finish. I mean, that, for me last week, I was talking with Barzola, like I was really on the fence about this fight and thought it was going to go either way. Barzola gets a finish though. It's pretty damn impressive, let's be honest. Good for him. And, a guy that, again, I don't really know why the UFC let him go. I think he had a good record in the UFC. It was 6-3-1, positive record. That's a really good record, actually, 6-3-1 in the UFC. That's a really good record, albeit not against the best guys, but still, that's you're like way above 500 at that point. So good sign by Bellator, man. This guy's only 32 years old, right? So this is surprising the UFC let him go. I mean, they're always talking about expansion in Latin America, and this was one of their guys, and they just let him go. Caldwell's lost 3 straight fights now. He's lost 5 of his last 7 fights, and it's crazy, right? Like, it's just the sport's nuts, man. It wasn't that, but to be fair, he beat Adam Borg last 2 years ago, on January 25th, 2020. Adam Borg is one of the best guys. He also has a win over Corrales and some other guys. So, despite 3 straight losses, I think they'll give him one more fight, you know, if he has a fight left in his contract. Now, if his contract's over, they'll let him go. Sad seeing Caldwell pick. I mean, he's a decent guy, the Wolf, right? So, and I had a good relationship with Bad Boy, the clothing manufacturer. This was like their last guy. I don't know if he's still wearing Bad Boy, but he was like the last guy they had, him and Gustafson. And this was like the last guy that Bad Boy had. And, you know, my buddy Will, who owns it, I don't even know if they might have went on to business now, but I love that logo, the old Bad Boy logo with the eyes. And, you know, it just sucks that his career's kind of panned out, and also that company, because I felt the guys, honestly, and I am biased because I know the guy. Actually, he ended up buying the company. I didn't know the original owners, but this guy bought it a few years ago. He's a friend of mine. But I thought their clothing was the best. I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought the Bad Boy MMA clothing was by far the best. Anyways, let's go down to the other part of the card here. We had Chris Gonzalez defeat Saad Wad by knockout. Wow, that's really impressive. Obviously, Chris Gonzalez is a pretty impressive fighter, man. I mean, he's looked good in Bellator, and that's a nice win for him, getting a knockout. Dalton Rasta won. No surprise there. I mean, he won by decision, though, so that's kind of surprising. A lot of finishes in this card. This guy can't get a finish. Nikita Mikhailov defeats Blaine Shutt. Lucas Brandon defeats Ben Lugo. And Sullivan Colley defeats Ben Parrish by knockout. So a lot of finishes overall on the card, and some big standout wins. All right, let's go to Eagle FC. Let me pull this up here, guys. Pull up the last card and go through this. So interesting, right? And I want to hear you guys' thoughts, because, like, from what I saw, like, people were pretty impressed, I want to say, with the promotion overall. Like, the actual, like, show, it seemed like it was well received by fans. The pace was good, right? Like, the pace was good. The fights were going back. I hate when PFL sucks with the pace. Like, remember that final? You waited like 2 hours after like the fight to watch the next fight. Like, it made no sense, right? This was good pacing. This is the way pacing should be in MMA. Ross is just a beast. I thought in the last week, he's freaking Hercules, man. It's very small, Kristen. I mean, I think that's why you got a lot of spinach and hard work. No way. What's going on, man? What's going on, buddy? Yeah, you know, let's talk about the card, guys. So, main event, Sergey Karatanov picks up the upset over Tyrone Spong, gets the knockout. The odds were too high. I mean, Tyrone Spong only had 2 MMA fights, so why was he such a highly favored over here against Karatanov? Yeah, I mean, Karatanov's older now, but Karatanov has how much experience in MMA, and all he had to do was take the fight to the ground, and he won. So, I mean, like, for me, the odds were stupid. You know, I'm not saying like I was picking him, but the guy's 45 fights compared to the guy with 2 fights. So for me, this just didn't make sense. You know what I mean, guys? Like, really bizarre, like, just kind of strange, you know? That being said, I mean, good win for him, right? Another big win. I mean, you know, I've always loved Sergey Karatanov, guys. He's been one of my favorite heavyweights for like almost 20 years. Yeah, I mean, he was in Pride 20 years ago. He's been one of my favorites for a long time. I love watching the guy fight. He's just a beast. He walks forward. I remember when he fought that guy, what's his name? Javi Ayala. My God, that was one of the. I remember literally tweeting before. I'm like, there's 0 chance in hell this guy loses, and then he gets knocked out in 10 seconds. Like, MMA is such a crazy sport. But besides that, he's been a beast, you know, in Bellator and throughout his career, and Eagle FC, and, you know, I guess they thought that he was shot and he can get knocked out or submitted or something, but he's not. And, you know, being Tyrone Spong's a nice win on your resume, you know, regardless of Spong's lack of experience. That's a nice win. So let me get these comments. Yeah, it did. Never mind. I mean, the fights were sick, right? But you're going to wait an hour between fights? Get out of here. Tasty was good because they know average. So that's true, Glenn. I didn't think about that. Good point. Commentary's bad with Cejudo. Likely they had Chael. Yeah, Chael I heard was really good. Hey, Ryan, what's up? Like UFC. The app was easy. Production quality, good commentary, hilarious promotion. It's good. Yeah, PFL. I know. Trust you, buddy. You know, we could do the rest of the podcast talking about PFL's awful pacing. And that's why I laugh when PFL's like, we're the second best promotion. Who said that? Like, who said they were better than Bellator? Like, let's be honest. Like, yeah, they pay more to the eventual winners, even they're better promotion. He sure did. He doesn't have a full game, right? Do amateur fighters from AT work aside alongside fight career? I'm not sure. Actually, I shouldn't laugh because that's a good point. I'm not sure if Dan's giving them money or something. Like, a guy like even like Dalton Ross, I think is an AT guy, right? Like he's not, making a ton of money right now. Like Dan might be paying these guys something. Dan's got something good going. Dan Lambert, I'm wrong, but so it wasn't the best. Chill saved it. I saw Cejudo's shoes. They were like the rubber was like this big on his shoes. That's too funny. Anyways, PFL Challenger Series. I made a joke. I said, man, it sounds like Strikeforce Challengers, right? So it's called the Challenger Series. It's like the Contender Series and Strikeforce Challengers. That's basically what they did. There was no creativity to this name at all. It's so dumb, guys. It was Strikeforce Challengers and UFC Contender Series. They call it PFL Challenger Series. No, nothing. I mean, I think it's not a bad idea because I think there's some good prospects being signed, but does PFL really need this? Like PFL, they're going too fast, guys. Like now I read the press release. They're like, we can't wait to do our first pay-per-view this year. Are you fucking kidding me? Who's buying a PFL pay-per-view? No one in this channel is buying it. Let's be honest. You guys all love PFL. You all love MMA. I love MMA. I like PFL. Are they kidding me? Who's buying a PFL pay-per-view? Stupid. Gracie and Storley, first BJ wrestler match for MMA. That's too funny. Yeah. I mean, I still like Neiman though. PFL first best person in the final. They're as big as, yeah, I know. They all say it's so good. So Josh Silveira is really good. I think that's the guy you're talking about, Josh Silveira. Josh, I think, could have signed with the UFC, but he's like, you know what? Go try PFL and make $1 million. For that specific guy, every fighter is different. That probably was a good move for him, Anyways, let's go back to the Eagle FC card. Rashad Evans picks up the win over Gabriel Checko. I mean, I just don't really care. I mean, what does this even mean? Like, again, he beats Gabriel Checko. This is a guy, guys, when I saw this fight, I was like, Gabriel Checko, oh, that's the dude who got his ass kicked by Jordan Wright. That's the guy who got his ass wrestled by Jordan Wright, who doesn't do anything besides head kick you in the first round. And he got beat up pretty good in LFA. So I'm thinking to myself, what? This is the fight? And of course he loses. So, I mean, there was no surprise. The odds were stupid too in this fight. Plus 200 to Rashad. I hope you guys put a little bit of money on him. I mean, again, it's hard to trust a guy who lost that many fights, but Gabriel Checko was not good. Again, this is tough, but in general, you try to bet on decent fighters and fade bad ones, if you can, especially if the odds are like this. So hopefully some of you guys got some cash on that. You choose match make one UFC Bellator fight. Oh, that's a good one, Glenn. But for me, it's got to be AJ McKee, right? It's got to be him versus Volkanovski, I guess. That's the fight, right? The two featherweight champs. That'd be the fight. But I'd rather see him fight Max. So if Max wins the belt, that'd be the fight. But I think anyone versus McKee, because at this point, he's the best guy in Bellator, right? People paid me, I'd buy their pay-per-view. Yeah, send me a check for $60. Fun weekend of night fights. Hey, what's up, John? That's right, Dylan Salvador and Raimad Magomed. Now we'll keep going through those fights. One of our main fights. Ray Borg is such a talented guy, but I just think that I think the UFC's out of the Ray Borg business, man. He's not reliable. He pulls out of fights all the time. And again, I understand, his daughter son, Anthony, I believe, been super sick over the years. That sucks. UFC matchmakers have so much compassion for this guy. Come on. He had 10 weight misses. He pulled out so many fights. He doesn't really belong in the UFC, to be honest. I hate to say it, he seems like a great guy, Ray Borg, good fighter too, but it's a privilege to be in the UFC, really. And if you miss weight, all those fights, eventually you can't get the guy signed. You can't, rely on the guy to sign, so you won't sign him. Ray Cooper's whole family will watch. They sure will. And Ray's he's made $2 million in PFL, so he's done really well there, So I'm glad to hear that, buddy. I mean, the odds were definitely in your favor. Bellator, yeah, I like their division. Don't get me wrong, Bellator's got some good fighters, but I mean, the UFC's still the top promotion. Yeah, Cody Gibson. So this again, going down the card, Cody Gibson lost to Ray Borg, which is too bad. I like Cody too. I mean, again, we talked about him last week. Cody's a guy that I think got cut from UFC a little soon. He had some really hard fights. I think he fought Sterling in his debut. He's a champ now, so he had a tough run. But yeah, Ray Borg wins the decision. Ramazan Kurmagomedov, another guy that was signed to the UFC, and I think he had COVID or something, and then he couldn't fight. They let him go. He beat John Howard. I think that he'll probably end up back in the UFC or maybe in PFL. That guy Kurmagomedov, he's 10-0. He did beat, he had a winner. Was it Jordan Williams? Yeah, in Contender Series. So I think he's a talented guy. Again, he was supposed to fight Alex Oliveira in the UFC this year, or last year, but he pulled an illness. They don't like that, but I do think this guy could get another chance in PFL or UFC. Kurmagomedov, Raymond Magomedlayev, like we just said, he beats Anthony Njoku, but I just don't think that's a good win. Honestly, guys, I don't think it's a quality win. Anthony's way up there in age, so I just don't think you can take much from it. But having said that, I mean, this guy does have some other good wins on his resume. He's had some good, solid wins too in one championship. So I think the guy's not bad, and again, I'm not sure what these guys' contracts are like, but I'd imagine some of these guys could get to the UFC, This guy seems like another guy that the UFC might bring in eventually. I do remember him from one championship last year. He fought in their card with Eddie Alvarez and Demetrius Johnson. So I do remember him. Yeah, no, actually they brought him back. No, they passed. Okay, so what happened was, to answer your question, because you're right and I'm right too. So basically what happened was they passed him Contender Series 2 years ago. Then last year, he was brought in as a short notice replacement to fight Cowboy Oliveira, but he got sick during fight week, and they, I guess, canceled the contract because you can't really sign with the UFC, say you're going to fight, and then pull out the next day. They hate that. They usually cut you. So that's what happened there. I'm just letting you know. So you were right, but I was also right. Borg reminds me of Dustin Ortiz. Yeah, Dustin's not a bad fighter either. I mean, the guy lost to Joseph Benavidez, right, and then gets cut. I mean, it's brutal cut. So a good guy, a good fighter. Dylan Salvador wins. We already mentioned here, French fighter. It's good win for him. Jorgen De Castro, former UFC fighter with a submission. Very surprising, gets a submission win. Jorgen, I don't know if he'll be back in the UFC. I don't think he's UFC caliber. I think UFC or even Bellator maybe would be a good spot for Jorgen, possibly. DeMarcus Jackson picks up a win over Miles Hunsinger. Kind of an early stoppage. What do you guys think of that stoppage? That one looked a little early to me. What do you guys think? And what's fucked up with that fight? Miles Hunsinger is a guy that has done everything he can to protect his record for years. I know about the guy for years. He's been a pro since 2013. He fights one time a year, right? He doesn't take fights he knows he can lose. And then he gets a bad referee stoppage or whatever in 54 seconds to lose his first fight. That sucks, and that probably cost the guy ever going to the UFC. Because I know that he was kind of on the short list a few years ago, but he's not coming now, I don't think. Who else won? Sean Bunch won. Loic Radzhabov, again, I'm a little surprised PFL let him go. So I'm not sure if he's able to come back to the tournament because obviously he was the runner-up. He lost a very close fight to Roush Manfield. That fight was amazing, guys. The Roush Manfield fight was amazing with Loic Radzhabov. And you're telling me Jeremy Stevens is going to compete with those guys? I just don't see it. I fail to see that. If I'm Jeremy Stevens and his manager, who are probably, be quite frank, they're probably a little bit uneducated about the PFL fighters, how good these guys are. Jeremy's like, I've never heard of this guy. Definitely could beat him. I don't think so. You know what I mean? That's my honest opinion. I haven't seen the salaries now. I think Florida does these salaries. I can't remember now. Yeah, you got cracked, man. Anyways, that's it for Eagle FC. Overall, I mean, it feels like there's some momentum for this promotion. With Khabib being the basically the Dana White role for this promotion, and they have some good fighters, man, for sure. Having said that, there's obviously the Ali connection, which it's kind of weird how he's playing such a prominent role. It's kind of reminding me of World Series of Fighting Part 2. I don't know about you guys. It kind of reminds me of World Series again, where Ali is, the manager for half these guys, and they're for the most part, getting favorable matchups. So that part's a little weird, And again, I just feel like if this sport was bigger, this stuff wouldn't happen because I did see that Aaron McGracken, who's a lawyer, he's an MMA, they call him an MMA lawyer. He reached out to Florida and they said we've did our due diligence and Ali has, he's not connected to the actual promotion of the event, but I just fail to see that, guys, it's just, there's too much connection, anyways, that's my thought. Yeah, I agree. PFL, but again, World Series of Fighting, he did the matchmaking and he was the manager for half the guys. It's like Graham Boylan with Cage Warriors with Paddy Pimblett. You're giving him fights he can win, right? Was it Felicia Spencer? I thought she was too. Yeah. Florida doesn't release salaries. That sucks. And Glenn, you gotta message Jake Paul because I know you're close to friends with Jake. Tell him it's 10,000 minimum, not 12, because he keeps saying 12. He said it again. Anyways, let's see what else. Yeah, so I think that's it for Eagle, and we did Bellator, obviously. Overall, I think a decent weekend of fights, considering there was no UFC, but I'm looking forward to the UFC, guys. For me, it's these organizations are good, obviously. And this week we also have LFA on Friday, which is a great organization, I think, for up and coming fighters. But to me, the UFC is still putting on the best fights for the most part, and I can't wait for Saturday's card. So tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, Marcel will be here, and we'll break down the whole card. I'm looking forward to that. I think there's 13 fights, and some really interesting fights. Some fights that I think can go either way. So I'm looking forward to talking about the card with you guys. Look at this contest. Comments. Felicia was there. Thought Spencer. Yeah, she was there, but maybe not as much as you hoped. Keep searching. I'm telling Ali, Adam, it's okay. Ali and me, we're cool. I mean, I don't have an issue with him really, but he's kind of weird. Like he unfollows me and follows me like all the time. He's been doing it for like the last 10 years. He'll follow me for like 6 months, unfollow, follow back. It's kind of weird, guys, but whatever. I don't care. At the end of the day, even though Ali, this thing with Eagle, I'm not sure, but the guy does, generally a good job for his fighters. So let's give the guy a little bit of credit again. He's getting these guys good contracts, and I've never heard someone say like Ali's doing a bad job representing me. So I'll give the guy some credit there. But again, if you're a managing guy, you shouldn't have any say in the matchmaking, really, right? Like that's the promotion, Anyway, that's my thoughts. Let's see here. All right, let's do some news and fight announcements, guys. We'll do that. Let me pull up some news here. I'll take any questions. I'm here for about 20, 25 more minutes. So take any questions. Obviously, Marcel's not here, so got a lot more time just to talk. Shoot the shit. Let's see here. I'm taking a look. Any thoughts, guys, on the whole Nagano thing? I mean, sure seems like UFC and him are just, they're just not able to come to an understanding. And again, I do feel like it's, Dana's issue with his management more so than anything. But, unfortunately, Francis is in the middle of this, so it sucks. But I'm just not optimistic at all it's going to get worked out either. And again, he's hurt, right? His knee is hurt, so he won't be fighting for a while. Let's do some fight announcements, guys. Look on Marcel's page. He's not here, but he's here in spirit. All right, Chase Hooper against Felipe Colairis. Yeah, I mean, for me, again, we don't break down these fights, but we look at them. And Chase Hooper's been super disappointing. You know what sucks? I was actually at his first fight. When he fought Daniel Tamer. He looked amazing in that fight. And I'm like, damn, this kid's going to be good, but he's looked like shit in the UFC, let's be honest. The guy just doesn't look like a UFC caliber fighter. He's really small, he's skinny, doesn't have man strength yet. I don't know. Like, I mean, the guy's got good jiu-jitsu, but that's not going to – that won't get you far. Striking's not good. Colairis is an underrated guy, I think. He's had some really scrappy fights. I think, it's possible Chase could win this fight, but, Colairis to me is more solid. And does that say fuck you as his tattoo? That's amazing. Wow, that's a crazy tattoo. Fuck you. There you go. When a guy's on the top of him, laying down grounded pound, he just sees that in his chest, right? Let's go to some other ones. I'll get your guys' comments in a sec. Cerrone and Lozon. So I like this fight. I think this is a great fight. This is the fight. This is the one, guys. This makes so much sense. I'm happy this fight's taking place because these guys are both shot, and this is the last ride, I think, for both of them. I hope this is the last fight for both guys. Why on a fight night? Why is this not on the pay-per-view, though? This should probably be on a pay-per-view main card, like the second fight or third fight. Great send-off for both guys. Maybe the UFC is not convinced they're going to retire. But for me, I would have put this fight on a pay-per-view, because I think you need fans for these guys. Maybe by April, they'll have fans in the Apex. I doubt it. So I think that's a little bit of a mistake. Let me get these comments. Sorry, guys. The UFC might try... Yeah, no, I agree with that. Kevin Lee, yep, it's true. He's talking about Francis, I agree. Watch the UFC. I didn't see it, but that's awesome. I like how you're always watching these smaller shows, John. That's awesome, man. You're always making money, too. Yeah, I like Aaron Jeffrey a lot. Canadian guy, obviously. Good fighter. Which worse, I don't think Challenger Series. Yeah, we don't even get ESPN Plus in Canada. I can't even watch that stuff. That's the other thing. Just like the PFL TV deal's not great here. Yeah, Colairis probably beats Super. But yeah, I mean, this fight's interesting. I don't really know who's going to win. I mean, I've always thought Cerrone was the better fighter, but he looks really shot now. And Joe's weird, right? Like he has these weird fights once in a while. Like when he knocked out JSP, Jonathan St. Pierre, like that shocked me. Like I'm like I thought this guy was shot for years, like the last 5 years, Yet he still pulls out those wins. Like, didn't he knock out Diego Sanchez in like a minute too, I think? So I mean the guy, he can pull it off. He's got power submissions. The crazy thing is Cerrone has the most bonuses all time UFC, and Lozon's third. So love it. I mean, they're just two studs, but at the end of the career, and I hope they retire after this fight. I saw this one today. This is a good one too. Luis Saldana and Bruno Silva, two strikers. So fun fight, two strikers. it should take place in the feet. Whoever, is a more effective striker will win the fight, I think. William Knight, Maxim Grishin. Interesting fight. I mean, William, he has the win over Alonzo, but I don't really know if he should have won that fight. It was close. Whereas this guy, Maxim Grishin, he doesn't have the win over what's his name? Justin Jacoby, but he should have won that fight, right? So it's one of those things. It's like I even though the records are like what they're doing right now is kind of the opposite. I'm kind of a little bit higher on Grishin, if that makes sense. I don't know. This is close though. I got to think about this fight more. I don't have any thoughts, to be honest with you, besides that. I like Souza too, to be honest with you. I have to look at it more, but I remember the guy being a good striker from LFA, right? So Cerrone got any decent fighters to be from Ranch? I don't think so, right? Didn't he have Daniel Rodriguez? Wasn't he the guy? I don't even know if he's there anymore. It was on Cerrone kind of similar. Yeah, exactly. I know. That's the thing, right? Like, they have those like off nights or good nights sometimes. Damon Jackson and Camilla Kirk. Damon Jackson is only a month older than me, but my hair is going too, don't get me wrong. But this guy's just like way far back now. So I'm just glad mine's not like that yet. But in a couple of years, I'm sure it'll get there too. And Camilla Kirk. I mean, it's a good fight. You got a guy in Kirk who really got out grappled really badly against Makwan Amirkhani, but he was the guy doing the damage right from the bottom. So that's why he won the fight. Damon Jackson in his last fight, he survived a horrible cut against Charles Roach, like one of the worst cuts I've ever seen probably, and managed to win the decision. The guy is a good grappler. So interesting fight. I mean, I think it can go either way. It's an interesting fight. Go to the next one here. Mark Diakiese and Slava Borshev. I mean, it's a fun fight. Kind of weird though, because Diakiese is coming off a loss. He lost his last fight to Rafael Alves, the turn, and Slava's coming off a quick knockout win. I'm glad they're getting him back in the octagon quickly though. He's going to fight in March, so it's a fun fight. But I mean, how do you not favor Slava? The guy's been looking amazing lately, right? Why was Kirk over Slava? I'm not sure. Good question. I don't know. But the guy, I think he's decent. I think Kirk is decent. This is a good fight. This is also a main event. Jessica Andrade and Amanda Lemos. Just a good fight. Jessica has obviously proven over the last 10 years that she's one of the best women's fighters in the world, regardless of weight class. I think Jessica Andrade is really underrated because she fights at 115, 125, 135. Like, she's fought all the weight classes in the UFC. And she's won in all the weight classes in the UFC. And she's fought for the belt in, I think, two at least. It's not, she didn't fight at 135. But the point is, she's a good pound-for-pound fighter, like really good. But Lemos is up and coming. She's coming off a couple knockout wins. She looked amazing. It's really surprising to see her at 4 years older, right? That's a little surprising. It's an interesting fight. I mean, what do you guys think about this one? This is a crazy fight. This is a crazy fight. Again, this is a few months from now. I'm not breaking it down. I'm not going to give you guys my final pick, but I mean, this is a crazy fight. I think Andrade is really good. She knocked out Katlyn Chikagian. No one knocks out Katlyn Chikagian. That's a big win. Then again, Lemos knocked out Souza. She knocked out Montserrat Ruiz in like 30 seconds. She's been killing everyone. I love this fight. This is the perfect fight. Yeah, man, this guy's pumped. I'm pumped too, dude. My blood's rushing right now. This is a great fight, Andrade, female BMF. She sure is, dude. She's a badass girl. And I met her actually in Brazil. The day after, I'll show you guys right now. The day after she won her belt against Roseanne Muniz, the first fight. So I was in Brazil. I think I told some of you guys for Poker Stars. They called me. Me and Aaron Bronstetter both went together. Actually, it's crazy. Aaron lives like 5 minutes from me. He's a good friend of mine. So we both went down there, and my God, it was fun. Let me just pull up the picture. So this is actually, it's crazy, right? Guys, the years go by very quick. Because this was 3 years ago, and it sure doesn't feel that way. But that was awesome, and I got a really cool picture with her. Here it is. Pull it up here. I met a couple fighters there. I mean, I wasn't working. Remember that I wasn't working. I saw her in. She was in the line. I was checking out the hotel the next morning. She was literally in front of me in line. I got an awesome picture with Jessica. Literally in line. One. So that was pretty cool. That was a fun trip, guys. I think I also met. Oh, sorry. This way. I think I met them. That was a fun one. This guy was cool. And there's another guy. Rio was amazing. That was awesome. The BJ Penn. So the crazy thing about BJ was I met him, and then literally the day I got back home, I started writing for his website. So that was a really good chance meeting that I met him. And where's the other one? Bruce Buffer was there, and this one, my boy Johnny Walker, who I met as well, and I had dinner with him. He was an awesome guy. So that was a really good memory. Good memories, guys. Good memories. Let me pull up the fight announcements again. But that was a really good memory. Just to meet Jessica the day after she won the belt was amazing. Not great quality of opponent for Lemos. Yeah, I mean I agree. This is a huge step up. Like Andrade Tier Lemos last fight, Hill. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about the Angela Hill fight. Yeah, I thought she lost too. I forgot about that fight. Sorry. But at the same time, she did end up winning, right? So Andrade comes across. Yeah, she's really nice, dude. Thanks, Joe. And I'm not. Don't get me. I'm not one of those guys who just takes pics. But I wasn't working, right? So it was fine. I was there as a fan. It was great. It was actually great. So the amount of fighters you saw at the hotel was pretty insane, actually. Like I remember Clay Guida was there. Jared Cannonier. Like Jared Cannonier was walking around. No one knew who he was. It was really weird. He just broken Anderson Silva's leg. Like he's in Brazil. Like you think everyone hated him, but he's walking around like nobody knew who he was. It was hilarious. No, I mean, oh, dude, if you want me to go back like 10 years, I'm like half the size I am now, man. I'm a big dude now. Let's see. Okay, so my boy James Lynch is convinced that Misha's getting knocked out in this fight. What do you guys think? I mean, it's possible, right? Oh, Wellington actually liked the thing. That's awesome. Well, I guess Vieira I don't know what happened to him. Like, he must have had a bad weight cut or something and been sick. But, Vieira was going to beat him, I think. But Misha's chin is so weak. It's just... He did look decent against Jocko, to be fair. Probably should have won the fight, to be fair. But again, the chin and the durability really bothers me, guys. I'm not sure about you, but Misha's chin just scares me too much. So, not sure. Yeah, Polo 2 botch weight cut. Yeah. All right. Another good fight. Marcel told me about this one after the podcast last week. He goes, "Oh, I just found out about this fight." I'm like, "Oh man, it's amazing." So, Krylov and Paul Craig. It's a great fight. Paul Craig is one of these. I just can't get his fights right. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm the worst at picking Paul Craig fights, right? Because I think he's going to get knocked out by these strikers, and he just somehow grabs the arm and breaks it. It's just crazy. So I'm not betting against him anymore. You know what I mean, guys? Like, I just can't do it. And Krylov is a pretty good fighter. Like, he's probably the better striker, obviously. But while his grappling is decent, I think it's Paul Craig's way better on the ground. And I remember when he fought Johnny Walker, he got reversed a few times on the ground. So, and OSP, he did beat him in the rematch with the first fight. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think about this one? This is an interesting fight, too. Serkinov's chin regenerate. It did. I don't know how but Jocko doesn't hit hard, though. Let's be fair. Jocko is not a power puncher. Jocko is he's a grinder. He's like a boring grinder. He's one of the most boring guys in the roster. Alex Pereira was like, I'm not fighting him because all he does is want to hold you against the fence for 50 minutes. I don't blame him. I mean, it's the truth. Oops. Couple other fights. This one's good too. Suma Darji and Manel Kopp. I like this fight a lot. It's hilarious though, right? This guy was saying, "I want a title shot. Give me a title shot." Like, I'm thinking, buddy, you ain't even ranked. Remember, I even tweeted about this, and someone was like, "Oh, well, that's how you become a star. You talk shit in the mic." And I'm like, no, I think you actually win fights. This guy hasn't beaten anyone good. That's the problem, right? Like, Jua Gulov is, the way he won was great, but the guy's not good, really. So, to me, this is kind of a test because Madarji is one hell of a striker, man. This could be a bad matchup for Manel Cape. Madarji's a great striker. I'm not sure what you guys think, but this could be a bad matchup for him. You get these comments. Yeah, I'm done with it too. I'm not betting against Paul Craig. I saw Tate on Big Brother. Misha Tate or Celeb Big Brother US? Big deal. Is it Misha Tate? You're saying, Glenn, or someone else? I think about who am I forgetting about? Who's another Tate? Frank Tate? I don't even know. Yeah, I saw Paul Dave's retiring. But here's the truth: he's retired like 5 times in the past too. So he could. Yeah, that Adesha fight wasn't greatest either. Which Tate? Glenn, is it Misha Tate? Is going to be a Big Brother? Really? Oh, I see now. I see it now, Glenn. Misha Tate and Big Brother. Why? Doesn't she have a family? What is she doing? Like, sorry, guys. There's no way in hell my fiance would let me take off for 3 months or whatever it takes to film that show. She has 2 young kids. What is she doing? Did she have a fight coming up? I thought she's fighting. Wasn't she fighting someone? Or maybe I'm wrong. Like Lauren Murphy? Yeah, in May. She's fighting Lauren Murphy in May. So Is she on right now or what? Like I haven't watched I haven't watched it in like 20 years, honestly. Let me see here. Celebrity Big Brother. Yeah, I'm not watching this shit. No way. I'm not watching it. I just I don't like Beach Danny. I think she's super annoying. I can't even imagine her on the show, guys. Like it's gonna be brutal to watch. Like the amount of complaining. She's someone that's always getting in people's like other messing around with people's lives. She's like talking shit about Aspen Ladd and her husband. I mean, I think it's pretty fair now to be critical of her. Be like, you have 2 young kids at home. Shouldn't you be with your children? Why are you doing a celebrity Big Brother show? This doesn't make. I don't get it, guys. I always hear about celebrities. They're always like traveling the world. I'm like, don't they have kids? Like, who's watching their kids? Like, or this? How about this guy Nick Cannon? He's having an 8th child thing with like I think 7 different women, and people are like, oh, he's such a great father. I'm like, how is he a great father when he is? There's no way he's actually spending quality time. It's really easy, guys, to take a picture and to be like, look at me, I'm a great dad. It's a lot different when you're actually being a great dad, And I'm learning that myself, quite frankly. You know what I mean? And I agree completely. I mean, I don't understand her at all. I just don't get it. Yeah, no, you're right. I forgot about the Adeshev fight. Thoughts on Imavov versus Delima. Is that official? Bagoy Ivanov. I didn't see that, so that's interesting. Versus Marcus. I didn't know about that one, man. How come I didn't see this? I believe you though, because I know that you got some inside stuff. The fight makes sense. Is it official, dude, or what? Like, I mean, you obviously have some inside information. Yeah, I mean, it'd be an interesting fight. I think it makes sense. There we go. Look at this guy. This guy, again, I think this is Marcel's burner account. I'm just messing. It's not. But, this guy's got some stuff, man. Appreciate it, dude. Appreciate the heads up. There you go, guys. Blagoy Ivanov and Marcos Rogério Delima. You heard it right here. You heard it first on the MMAOB Daily Podcast from 8 Loco. This is one of our favorite posters now. This guy's always breaking news. This is crazy. I have a relative similar, has a beautiful kid, but is obsessed with family. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it. Like, and this is, it's an issue that, I think a lot of people have, but it's like, when you become a dad, it's like, trust me, guys, there's a million things I'd rather do than like wipe a diaper, but that's stuff you have to do. You know what I mean? So I'm just, how is she doing that if she's in a Big Brother house? Like, who's taking care of her kids? I just think it's really funny how this is the same woman that's like talking so much shit about Aspen Ladd, saying her relationship is like bad and stuff when she's doing really questionable stuff herself. Like, it's kind of weird to me. Bombs away as someone gets knocked out. Actually, I don't know if I should say that because Ivanov's never been knocked out, right? Like, I don't think he's been knocked out before, has he? Let me double check. But I think he's got like one of the best iron chins in the division. He's never been knocked out. Yeah, so I remember his fight with Tai Tuivasa. And I bet on him as a dog in that fight. But my God, he ate some bombs. Both guys did. But man, the guys, he could have arguably beat his last 2 opponents in Lewis and Sakai. He's a good, solid fighter. I think Ivanov's really good. Delima, he knocked out Ben Rothwell. Who the fuck knocks out Ben Rothwell, guys? Like, that guy's got one of the best chins ever. Although at this point, his career's probably gone. A couple other fights here. Pierre Rodriguez and Kay Hansen. Man, you're talking about someone who doesn't take their career seriously. I mean, Kay Hansen, right? So she took 2 years off. She's like 23 years old. Took 2 years off after the Canada fight. Does OnlyFans. Talks about it constantly. Says she's going to come back better than ever. It looked terrible at a higher weight class. And then 2 months later, she's going back down in weight. Who is her manager? She's getting bad career advice, in my opinion. I think Kay could win this fight. I don't think Pierre Rodriguez is that impressive. She was on Contender Series. I don't remember being impressed. But, if Kay loses this fight, she's getting cut. And it just makes me wonder, like, because she right now, guys, she's 22 years old and her record's 7-5. Like, what other 22 fighter has 7-5 records in the UFC? I'm just confused, really. Like, I'm almost confused why she's in the UFC. She did beat Jin Frey though, so she does have that win. And to be honest with you, I had a lot of questions before that fight, but she gets the win. I'm like, all right, Mason Lee's here. Probably should have beaten Courtney McKenna, but then just, takes 2 years off, does OnlyFans, comes back and moves up in weight class and just gets out wrestled and like had nothing for Jasmine Dish. It was a terrible performance. I just like, what's she going to learn in 3 months? Come on. This is a mistake. What did she learn in the last 2 years? Like, she didn't show in that last fight. Saw no improvements in the striking. I know I'm being critical, guys, but I do think there's talent here. That's why I'm being critical. I think there's talent, in Kay Hansen. I think her submission game is really good, but I think she's got bad management. And I think, coming back so soon is a mistake, personally. Again, switching weight classes one more time. just question. And I think a lot of MMA managers are just doing their clients bad. And, I think a good manager who cared about this girl would say, hey, you got a lot of holes in your game. You got to work on them because it's the last fight you're dealing. If you lose, you're getting cut. So just like this guy said, fair takes. I appreciate it, man. I'm not trying to, I actually I don't mind her. Like I like her, she's, good looking girl, decent fighter, but it's like she's making bad career decisions in my opinion. And I think the management's to blame. That's my honest opinion, guys. And I think not just with Kate, a lot of fighters, bad management will screw you over in this game, Pierre's fights always bangers. Yeah, it could be a good fight. I know she was on Contender Series this year. I don't remember a lot of it. Yeah, she could. Kate could be better this weight class. Her manager is OnlyFans. They take a large percentage. Maybe she doesn't have a manager. Actually, you know what? Maybe she doesn't. Now that I think about it, Kate's last fight or 4 fights. Are you sure? Are you sure, Loco? Because I'm gonna ask you because her show money was $17,000. So I think she's on her second contract because my guess is they gave her a little bit more than after she beat Jinyu Frey. They might have given her a second deal. So she might actually have more than 1 fight left because she made 17 and not 10 or 12. So I actually think she's on her second deal. But I don't know. I don't mind her OnlyFans. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the leaked pictures. I mean, like I said, you have to do what you got to do for money. But if you're doing that, you're taking away your focus on MMA. It's just a fact. Like if I'm doing another job, I'm taking my focus on what my other job is supposed to be, right? So my opinion. But again, as a fighter, it's hard, right? Because you don't get income all the time. Like I get paid every 2 weeks, or every month or whatever. Like as a fighter, you get paid what, like twice a year, 3 times a year. So you need that extra supplement income. And if you're a young girl, I mean, it's a easy way to make money, right? It really is. Let's be honest. I'm not saying like anyone can just take pictures to make money, but in her position, I understand it. I'm just saying like, if I was her manager, like last year, I would have been like, you can do this, but these are the consequences potentially. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, was that ever talked about? But like I said, I like the girl. And hopefully, she sticks around for a while. But again, she loses this fight. She's 7-6, guys. I mean, come on, that's just not good. I think we talked about this fight last time. I think, but I love this fight. Uriah Hall and Andre Muniz. Yeah, we talked about these ones. So that's it for the fight announcements. Got a couple. Yeah, I got 5 more minutes left. So you guys throw some more questions in? I'll take them for 5 more minutes. First fight against Frey. Second fight against the girl from Wales. Yeah, McKenna. To be fair, I mean, she could have won that fight. Then again, yeah. Yep. No, I know. I'm not saying you're wrong with the 4 fights. It is 4, but I'm just saying, like, usually the first contract is 10 or 12, right? And then the next deal, wouldn't it be more money? Or do you get more if you win the first fight? Yeah, I think we talked about this one last week, Boser Nascimento, I think. I like the fights. I think I talked about it with myself. If I missed it, I apologize. Let me check. Actually, I might have missed that. No. I think we mentioned it the last second. But anyways, I really like Yogi Bear, Nascimento, but I know he's coming off like a drug suspension, so you gotta wonder like what's he gonna look like now. Boser obviously he hasn't fought in a while. I'm like, man, Boser fought a few months ago, and I looked at his record. It was like last June when he knocked out that guy. So it's been a while, man. Yeah, I mean, it was OSP, right? I mean, Boser I think should win, but there's a few things with this fight. Like I want to know the weight. I think Nascimento weighs more, right? I gotta double check that, but I mean, he's a grappler, right? So I mean, he could take him down and hold him maybe. I gotta think about the fight more, but I like both guys. To be quite frank, I think they're both solid. I like Boser. He's a funny guy. He's a pretty good fighter, not a great fighter, but decent. He's just hilarious though. James isn't in the chat, but I know James just interviewed him, and he was like trying to get him to like talk shit about like as a joke because there was some hockey press conference like last month where Leon Draisaitl was like one of the best players in hockey. The reporter was like, he was being a dick to the guy, and it was hilarious, right? And James was like, "I'm going to try doing this with Tanner." The action Tanner just wasn't having it. Me too. I've said this too, and that's what I don't know if you've seen Glenn. Go on YouTube and watch after he I think it was after he beat OSP, but it's like Brad Okamoto's interviewing him, and he's like, "Are you going to go to 205?" He got so pissed. He's like, "Why would I go to 205? I just won my fight." So no, he's not going to 205. No, he won his last fight. He knocked out OSP, right? Do you think if Aspinall beats Volkov and shows his cardio can beat Francis? Tom Aspinall's great. I'll be honest with you. I've always liked him for 3 years now, I guess, since he's been in the UFC. After he knocked Colairis in Fight Island. But where I really like Tom Aspinall, guys, was when he submitted Andre Arlovsky. He submitted Andre Arlovsky. Who the fuck does that? Like, that is really hard to do. So for me, it's like the fact he submitted Andre, it shows that he is next level because, again, what heavyweights have the striking and the ground game? Very few. Francis does. We know Francis does now, which is amazing because Francis, we thought he was just a striker, but he's got the grappling too. Aspinall, I just don't know yet. I got to see the fight with Volkov, how it plays out. I think that could be potentially a hard fight for him. Volkov's, I've never been great at picking his fights, but, he can have great performances. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. Dad was first black belt in England. That's crazy. I did not know that actually about his dad, Tom Aspinall's dad. I know Tom, I believe, is a black belt, and Tom's very good in the ground. Volkov made Grady Hard look good. I mean, he survived for 3 rounds in that fight. I wouldn't say he looked great, but you're right. I mean, he didn't look terrible. Nagano was a big step up. And Volkov didn't look great against Tabura either in his last fight. And, against Cyril Gane either. Although, again, those are some quality fighters. But Tom Aspinall, I like him, man. I like him. I like him, 8 Loco. It's better to see a knockout, right? Obviously, or submission, but I kind of hope this fight goes deep because I want to see what his cardio looks like. Because that is a question for me still. Because he beat Orlovsky. His cardio looked okay in the second round. It looked actually, if I remember the fight, it was last February, I want to say, but it was like he was doing well, and then he was like teeing off Orlovsky, and then you saw Tom get a little tired. And at the end of the first round, it was like, oh shit! Like because I parlayed him and Dawkins. They both fought in the same card. Dawkins knocked out Alexei Oleinik, but then the second round he got his win back and he submitted Orlovsky. So I think his cardio is going to be okay, but again, I don't know. It's a guess. It was like Giga a few weeks ago. We were like, okay, his cardio should be good at 5 rounds, and it wasn't, right? So, only thing else, Francis, no, biggest question, not for sure. Anyways, I think that's it for today, guys. I pretty much talked out. My mouth is completely dry at this point. So really appreciate you guys obviously joining the podcast today and asking the questions. It's awesome. And we got a fight broken today by 8 Loco. So again, I don't know who you are, buddy, but I appreciate it, man. It's cool. It's like he's like another Marcel in the chat. He sound Bisping's pocket. He stepped in the car. That's good to know. Didn't see it, but I know Bisping interviewed him, which is awesome. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it for today's podcast, guys. So appreciate you guys joining. You guys can follow me on Twitter at MMAOB Podcast. It's at MMAOBsbreaker.com. And I never say this stuff, but I gotta say it now because I never say it. Like it, share it, subscribe it, tell your friends about it. We want more people in the podcast. We've been getting more viewers. I understand we're not even close to some of the other podcasts, but we know you guys are here every week. This is a good podcast. It's a quality podcast. And the more the merrier for me. So if you guys have any other MMA friends, say, hey, listen to Adam's podcast and give them a link. You could download it on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, all those places. So there's a lot of places to listen to the podcast. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, Marcel's going to be back with me. We'll break down UFC Vegas 47, Strickland Hermanson. I can't wait for that, guys. In the meantime, you can follow me at MMAOBsbreaker.com. We got the opening odds up for that card. MyMMAnews.com for MMA News, and then Bookies.com, my main job. And good thing is, this week, my first article for Bookies.com, the new place I'm working, I'll be doing my best bets for this card. So I'm going to be doing an article for them going forward. I can't wait. I'm excited to start writing more about MMA again, obviously. And appreciate it, guys. Talk to you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Break down UFC Vegas. Peace.